afternoon, everyone. My name is Danielle Ball, and I'm a librarian in the Business and Economics Department at Los Angeles Public Library. Welcome to today's program, which is brought to you by SCORE LA and the library. Our topic is crafting your brand story, design, and customer journey. Before I introduce our presenter, I just have a few housekeeping items to go over. First, as a reminder, this presentation is being recorded, so you will always be able to find it here on the library's YouTube channel. So don't worry too much about taking notes, just enjoy the presentation. You can always come back here to YouTube to rewatch it. And of course, feel free to share with your friends and colleagues. Also, we are inviting our viewers to please ask questions. At any time during the presentation, feel free to type your questions into the chat box. Our presenter will be answering them throughout the presentation. If for some reason your question does not get answered during the presentation, we will still have time at the end for Q&A. So again, please send your questions through. We'd love to hear from you. And with that, I'm very happy to introduce today's presenter. Mega Jewell is a seasoned communication trainer and the principal of Mega, an integrated communications company. As a former TV news reporter and anchor, Mega brings extensive experience in effective storytelling, public speaking, and media training. She has coached and trained people and teams to hone their storytelling abilities, equipping them with practical strategies to captivate audiences and deliver impactful messages. Mega's approach to training is practical, engaging, and results-oriented. She focuses on building confidence and enhancing communication skills for diverse scenarios. Mega is dedicated to serving her community and inspiring others to reach their full potential in communication and storytelling. Also, I just want to mention this is the second time that Mega has presented for us. We are so excited to have her back. Yes, she previously presented on the topic of AI chat GPT and how to use that for your business marketing. It was excellent. And I've added the link to that presentation in the description box below. So to our viewers, please check that out. But for now, we are excited for a new presentation, and I'd like to pass it over to Mega Jewell.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and welcome to crafting our business and brand story, design, and customer journey. You know, as a business owner myself, it can be very daunting to figure out what's my story. There's so much information out there in my brain, and how do I pass that on to the right people and the people that I want to be able to speak with? Today, in terms of our conversation, I want to share a little bit more about myself. I know Danielle shared a little bit more about my television news reporter journey, but also the reason why I'm here is because I want to help you as you're starting out in your business or you're seasoned in your business to make your story just a little bit better, because you have all of the ingredients necessary to be able to do so. I promise you that. So really thrilled to jump right in and getting into what we're going to expect in our conversation today. First and foremost, storytelling, although it could be something like a general broad umbrella, is a very important aspect to your business brand. Reason being is, what is your story? Why do you do what you do? That's very important, right? But also the next element is design. How do you want to look? How do you want to be perceived? Because those first impressions are super important. You know that saying, right? The first impression is key. Then number 3 is, who are you talking with? The customer journey. What are those mapping techniques? What the heck does mapping mean? And we'll talk a lot about how do we create those structures to make it realistic, applicable to your business, and being able to actually put things together. And of course, taking action. Being able to take what we've learned today together and implementing that for your business. That is my hope, that you can take something away, just one thing, and being able to really implement it in your journey. So, the power of authentic storytelling. First and foremost, a lot of people go, oh no, what's my story? I don't know what to share, or I have so much. Where do I start? Most important is, we want to do a brain dump, meaning tell me every single thing about your business story or your hopes and aspirations, to be able to tell all those bullet points and all the ingredient pieces of your story. In terms of recipes and ingredients, What are those components of authentic storytelling? First and foremost, human centered. It's all about people, it's developing relationships. We're consistent with our brand values, which we'll talk about in a minute or two. We want to be empathetic and understanding to the people we're talking with, not to, we're talking with. Engage with them because it's a two-way conversation, just happens to be digital. But you know those in-person relationships, super critical. But how do we translate that online? Connect with folks. What is our purpose and impact? What is the reason why we're in business or we hope to become in business? Of course, adapt because times are changing. Like Danielle said, we did an AI for marketing. There's a lot of things that's happening in this space and it's evolving. That's our last piece. As humans, we evolve our story. So these are ingredients and components to create variety in our storytelling. It's not just one story that we're thinking about. We have multiple types of stories for different people that we're catering to. And there are different types of reasons that we put together our stories, whether it's to evoke action, evoke emotion, whatever the case might be for your goals. But I want to point out that picture on the left. Stories are so powerful because to this day, I still remember the stories that my parents read to me. The three bears, the Goldilocks and the three bears. You've got the I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down type of stories. We remember all these because it captivated us and brought us to a certain level of emotion. And that's what we want to bring, that kidness, that childlikeness, and the curiosity to our own business brand and story. So as you're developing those components, write it down, put it on a document, be the brain dump, and think about your stories in different elements of categories. What do you do in terms of how do you inspire your audience? How do you educate your audience about your business brand or story? How do you build trust with them? What's an engaging thing that we can do together? How do you encourage them and invite them potentially? An invite could be signing up to your newsletter or an event that you're going to be at or a webinar or whatever the case might be. So think about your stories from the ingredients of being authentic and empathetic in your reasons, but also looking at it from different categories. So it's not just the same type of story, but it's different call to action type of stories. But you're like, I don't know where to start. I gotcha. You have a unique brand story. Nobody else can replicate your experiences, your thoughts, your journeys, right? And here are some questions to start pondering about what makes you uniquely you. What inspired you to start your business? Why? How does how has this journey shaped your approach to business? For example, I'm a former television news reporter. I bring a lot of that in and being able to talk with different types of people at any given time and being on ready at any given moment, I bring a lot of those different elements in. What motivates you and what is your why? How do your values and beliefs align with your business decisions? How does it foster authenticity and transparency? Some wonderful deep questions to think about. Describe a significant impact your business has had on a customer's life or the community, showcasing that human-centered focus and approach we talked earlier. And two more, share a pivotal moment when your business demonstrated adaptability and resilience and reflecting on its evolution and its purpose. And last but not least, what sets you apart from other people? And sometimes this could be tough because of limiting beliefs. But for a moment here, I want you to give your limiting belief or that little voice inside your head a name. Tell that person to just stand back for a few minutes and answer these questions to the best of your ability, because I can guarantee that you have something unique and being able to share your unique experiences and story to the people that you serve. So we're going to record this, so no worries on taking notes, but just something to think about. What's your why? What's new about your approach? What's unique about the way that you do things? So I want to introduce you to our character today. Totally made up. It was all me. But Sarah, she is the founder of Glow, and this is her particular story. So meet Sarah. She is the visionary behind Glow, cannot speak today, an eco-friendly skincare brand. Her journey began with a deep passion for sustainability, inspiring her to create products that nourish skin and protect the planet. So you start to develop kind of her reasons and her values. Green Glow's commitment to transparency, ethical practices, and community impact has earned trust and loyalty. Sarah's resilience shown through challenges, showcasing her brand's adaptability and unwavering purpose, and she takes pride in Green Glow's unique blend of effectiveness, eco-consciousness, and positive change it brings to customers and the environment. So, as you start to develop your set of questions and your story and those components and ingredients, you can then start to develop that story like Sarah's, being able to showcase what her why is, her purpose and her values, and what she does for her customers. So, breaking that down, you see Sarah's values and purpose at the very top, her deep passion for sustainability, her human centric approach that she focuses on supporting the people that she cares about, and probably people like her. And last but not least, that adaptation to the times and connection with her customers. It's not just an exchange of money, it seems like for Sarah, it is a purpose, a mission, an investment for her to create some form of long lasting change in the future. So we talked about those three bears just very shortly. Just wanted to point out that there is this thing that I like to talk about is the Goldilocks zone, that sweet spot. It's not, too hard, too soft. It's just right. Think about it from a Venn diagram. Your business is one element, the story that you're telling, but then you've also got your customer story, their pain points, their challenges, and those three bears right there. That's the Goldilocks zone. What do you offer value wise, and what does the customer want and need? That's the sweet spot, the Goldilocks zone. So hopefully you could start thinking about where the story ebbs and flows and weaves for your sweet Goldilocks zone. So that's the first part. To just summarize the ingredients of a story, you have all of the elements. Do not worry about having too much information or too little information, because at the end of the day, we can create different types of stories for different types of people and purposes. Up next, we're going to talk about creating visual branding, because first impressions matter. People judge. That's nature, and that's what we like to do. So, being able to have brand guidelines and components of your brand is very important. And don't worry, I'll show you how to create these brand guidelines on a platform or software called Canva, which is also accessible for free. There is a free subscription layer. So, what you're seeing now are examples or an example of a brand guideline. Sarah's Green Glow brand guidelines here I started creating is to really help her when she's building out her social media content, her business plan designs, also the marketing components. And if and when she's growing and has a team, she can also share these brand guidelines to say, hey, these are the parameters of the business. These are the fonts that we use. These are the colors that we use. So nobody is changing all the templates and doing all sorts of wacky things that don't align with her brand. So, what is part of a brand guideline? We've got your introduction, the logo usage, the color palette, the tone of voice, things like that. That's very important. So we'll skim through this. Here's her introduction. This is what they do, and this is who they support in terms of the impact, making it very clear for her teammates and people who interact with their brand. This is an internal document to be able to say, okay, who's our audience and what do we actually do? If we need messaging and we need something to say on social or in a person event, we can refer to this particular document for reference. Here's her logo, being able to have different types of logos for different types of purposes. We've got one that's, the orange color. We've got one that's white for potentially a darker background, and one with her actual business name on it. Just some variations. It's up to you. The color palette that we chose is her primary and secondary color. So we know what we can use first and what we can use to support, and being able to create those hex codes or hex values per color. We'll go into that in just a minute to explain what it is, where you can find that, and so forth. A couple more pages and fonts, typography, what resonates with your brand, what's visible. For folks who might be brands that are needing to be ADA compliant, there are sets of fonts that we can do there and colors that we need to follow. And for folks that want to be more stylish, you can have your primary, secondary, or even a supporting font that you can create. I'm a big proponent of creating opportunities, and you dictate what it is that you want to have for your brand. It's your story. If you feel like you want to be more bold, go for it. If you want to be more professional and tamed down, awesome. Up to you. And two more things, the design elements, potentially logos or different types of figures or designs that you want to be able to use. You can include that, the tone of voice and what words you like to prefer, maybe some added vocabulary that's uniquely yours. Totally add it on, put it in there. Audience also, these are the people that we want to reach. And this is pretty important because then we know who we speak with, what their interests are, what their challenges are. And the audience document here in the brand guidelines is critical because we know, for example, here it's eco-conscious consumers who prioritize sustainable and environmentally friendly skin products. So we know exactly who we're talking to and talking with. Last but not least, the key messaging, and we'll wrap it up with the bookend of what a brand guideline is. Hopefully it's clear that one, it is a document that we could use internally to be able to say, hey, this is what we can do, and this is what we like to prefer in terms of our voice and our tone and our message and who we talk with. That way, everyone is aligned and on the same page. But you're like, Mega, how am I going to be able to do that? It's so nice. But thank you. I know I created that myself. But there is a program called Canva. Many people have used it. It's grown over the years. I'm a big, big fan of it. They have this thing called the color palette generator. Oh, it's beautiful because you can plug in a picture or you can click on a couple of buttons for whatever inspires you. And you've got those hex codes, those numbers that tell you where in the spectrum of colors that particular color is at. So there's a URL, but we'll drop it in also in the description if possible or in the comments, however we see fit there. But I wanted to talk about how we get our colors. You'll see my dog Charlie in a bit, but this is the color generator and what it looks like on a desktop. You can upload any image. And in this case, I use Charlie Brown. And you can see the colors associated with that picture as inspiration. I could copy it and put it on my brand book. Or you could use the color palette ideas. For example, there's a plethora of different colors that you can explore, but I'm also going to type in eco-friendly beauty. Why not? And click on one that I think would resonate with the brand. Boom. Cool. How awesome is that? Being able to use color as a way to tell your story in your brand design, to be able to really play and give that best first impression that you want to offer. Polishing those branding skills. So we talked about the brand guidelines and what that looks like. We talked about the generator because, color is always so much fun. But how the heck are we going to create other things like the brand guidelines or a social media post, something as simple as a graphic? Well, I'll tell you. On Canva, canva.com, you have the Canva free right there with the little bling stars. You can start there. There are some limitations, obviously, but there are also other ways to help you I know that they have a nonprofit application that you can go through that process. Take a look, because this is a really awesome platform to be able to design. And there, of course, there are other platforms, but this is the one that I've been using for quite some time. So this is what it looks like when you've logged in and signed up. And there is so many things that you can do, from social posts to presentations to your logo to thumbnails. You can go on and have so much fun. But you could also look at templates. I specifically just typed in beauty, looking at what works and what doesn't. For the free account, you'll see some are accessible and some are not. But in this case, I wanted to create my own design. And starting with a blank slate, I'm like, all right, let's start with the best version of you design. Nope, that's not it. I want to change things up and use self-care as a design. So now as I'm clicking through, I can change different colors. I can also change the font to the brand font that I've aligned for Green Glow, and being able to have that customization that I could use for my social media posts. You can click and drag things however you see fit. But in this case, I want to start a different post. You can create from templates. You can search for different things and it'll pop up like about the brand owner, and find something that works for you. I use templates as a starting place because, there's a lot of things that happen in your brain, but if you prefer the templates as is, awesome. I think it's a wonderful way to start putting in design elements with your brand story. So as you'll see in the elements, there are lots of different pictures that you could choose from. You can click, drag, and drop. It is super intuitive. Obviously, this is a crash course, but you will find a lot of details on YouTube. Their Canva knowledge base, everything is available all online. So you'll see that for paid programs, there's a Canva watermark so that you'll know. And I do believe there is a free 30-day thing that pops up right here. But one of the things that I love about Canva is that in the elements, you can choose the graphics. You could flip the photo. You could change the font. You could change the color. Whatever you imagine or your team's imagining, you could potentially put it up and create something really epic from it. So you'll see the different templates, the different styles that you could choose from. Super easy. Click and change. I could change the colors. If it's not something that is my preference, I can just easily click a different button. If the font's not what is for my brand, I can always easily change that. There are so many things intuitive about this program that I absolutely adore. In terms of elements, there are things that we can include, like in searches. For example, there are different stickers and photos, videos, charts, and graphics, and lots of other elements that we don't have particularly time for today. So just wanted to share that crash course using Canva as a way to put your design principles to play. When it comes to design, there are 8 things that I like to think about to keep things as simple as possible. One is to keep things simple, consistent, distinct to my brand, to your brand, and the versatility of things. Being able to put it on social or YouTube or maybe a poster, whatever the case might be, to have that variability in the approach. So just wanted to share that it's super easy. Don't make yourself get overwhelmed. Simplify the process for yourself by creating that brand guideline first. Get a beta, get a first phase up and running, and being able to start there and evolve over time. So what are the next set of principles? You've got creating memorable pieces, using your colors, using your pictures, clarity of your brand, making sure your logo is very visible and being able to be recognized, things of that nature, relevance with the target industry and the audience, along with that emotional appeal. Remember those stories that we learned and was read to when we were kids? What is that emotional appeal? How do we connect to these stories? All right, we've got a couple more things in the design element here, and we're heading into crafting a customer journey. What does that even mean? When it comes to customers, I personally believe that the customer is number one, right? I think that's the saying. And in particular, because the customers is what keep you afloat, or what will be keeping you afloat if you're starting out your business. And who we're talking with is critical because it's about their story, how we fit into their story, what are their challenges, what are their pain points. But also, crafting that customer journey could be as simple and as complex as we can make it to be. We can create maybe one customer profile, or we can create multiple. I think sometimes, in most cases, having multiple specific groups of people that we're serving could be different. For example, and pretty successful. With Sarah's brand, she's got eco-friendly products. So you've got one group looking for eco-friendly products, but another group looking for environmentally, long-term climate change type of things. So you start to evolve your customer personas in this case. So when I talk about who are we talking with, it's thinking about that person that you're serving. How are they going to experience your brand at every step of the way? From the beginning, whether they see you on social or they meet you in person somewhere, what does that experience look like? How are they going to feel? What are they going to know? What's their next step? So, thinking about it from how they initially interact with you. And then after that, maybe they follow you on social media. What's the interaction that they're going to have on those digital platforms? And hopefully they lead to conversion, buying your product. What is that website going to look like? Or is it an in store purchase? Thinking about your customer's perspective in the journey that you offer from your products or services is going to be key because you're catering to the people that you serve. It's offering them a memorable experience that not only drive purchases at the end of the day, but also that loyalty and the relationship that we so desperately love having with brands and products. I talked earlier about people mapping, and that sounds a little odd, but I've used this quite versatility, like in terms of different reasons I use people mapping. People map to figure out who to talk to in terms of the media whenever it comes to PR pitches, but also people mapping for the customer journey. There's a good likelihood that you and many other businesses like Sarah's here in this example is similar. Sometimes there's different variations, but for the most part, there's likely another business out there that's either already operating like yours. So I like to go online and look at what people are already saying. And this quote unquote research, which is a big term that everybody is really scared about because, oh my gosh, it's research, it's complicated. It doesn't have to be. It could be as simple as going to a Yelp site, looking at another eco friendly business skincare line, and seeing what people have to say, seeing what things that they like about the product, things that they don't like about the product, the experience, the in store experience, whatever. You name it, whatever's on those review sites, take it and study and see where are opportunities that you can really add in terms of your strengths and unique values to the customer journey. Google searches. Oftentimes, some people ask me like, "Oh, which platform or social media do I go on?" Like there's so many. There's TikTok, there's X, there's Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Like I mean, at this point it could be like a whole full-time thing, right? Like there's not enough time. But by using Google searches, such as Pew Research Center has always a fantastic yearly social media quick look. Every single time, it tells you the audience demographic, what type of platform they're on, how many people are on mobile. There's so many things out there that we can find about the potential or our actual customers that are going to use or be using our products or services. there's everything at our fingertips. And then I talked about ChatGPT earlier, but this is a tool. This is an awesome tool to be able to help you brainstorm and expand your existing resources. The caveat is it's not that advanced, even though it is, to be able to verify your information because it could get things wrong. So, just so you know. So, these three things I use to start people mapping and understanding what my customers care about, what do they value, what are their challenges, what are they saying about similar products or services. Use that to your business brand advantage and for your story too. So, as we develop this customer persona through the mapping, we want to be able to help maintain the stories to the people that you talk with. Think about all the information that you have about your business. If you just dump that all to your potential customer, how would they feel? Is it too much information? Likely. So, being able to create personas, one set of group of people, giving them a name, giving them a personality, gives us an understanding of who are we talking with? Again, what do they care about? What do they value? So, by doing the people mapping on Yelp and Google reviews and Google searches and ChatGPT, we were able to create a persona for Green Glow. So, Sarah's the founder of Green Glow's persona target audience here is Emily. She's 28 years old. She's from Portland, Oregon, a graphic designer, and makes $85,000. So we understand a little bit about her, where she lives, what she does, how much she has in terms of being able to spend on items. Either that helps us create a range of our prices or create an understanding of how often and frequent that she might be shopping with us. Something along those lines. You can always do guesstimate or use the Bureau of Labor for information like this. So, Emily is a creative professional who values natural and sustainable products in line with the brand guidelines that we were just talking about not too long ago. She prioritizes self care and seeks skincare solutions that align with her eco conscious lifestyle. Emily is active on social media, enjoys discovering new brands that share her values. So there's a deep interest in values. By knowing this, Sarah, the founder, can then give her team or herself guidance to go, we need some stories that elevate our brand values to align with people like Emily. We also can start developing understanding. Sometimes it's an educated guess, sometimes it's something we find online. But what are Emily's goals and motivations? In this case, maintaining healthy and radiant skin using skincare products. So clearly, she wants to look and feel good. But the challenge that she has is there's so many. There's so many products out there, and it's really difficult to know who is actually eco-friendly and what is effective. That's a bing, a light bulb for us to develop the story based on who we're serving. So we've got pain points and some key information here. Limited time for extensive skincare routines. So she wants things simple. So potentially having stories up that is a step 1, 2, 3, things like that. And key information is that she values brands that provide clear information about ingredients and sourcing practices. You're like, okay, well, how is this useful? By creating these personas, and you can have multiple versions of different people, different types of reasons and their pain points and what they would like to focus on, you can then focus your stories in whatever medium you face, digital, in person, whatever you name. You can then adjust the story based on the person you're talking with. I think that's very critical. There's one thing that you could take away is who are you talking with? Why do they care? And what does your brand solve in terms of their pain points? So having developed the people map, developing the customer persona, think about them as they're experiencing your brand, your service, your product, in how they get to know you in the awareness phase. How does that look like? How what types of information content-wise would they need to consider you as that credible brand and business, keep them top of mind. And number 3, the conversion aspect. What makes people buy? Whether it's the values or the price point or her, eco-conscious elements and credibility, whatever the case might be, think about it from your perspective and your business of how your customers, the different types of customers that you have, will experience you in these 3 different phases. Whether it's on your website, your digital, your booths at a farmer's market, you name it. Each and every single thing, think about how they will flow. As we conclude to the last piece of the story, just wanted to summarize, we covered a ton. First, we talked about the ingredients of storytelling. Then we talked about the brand design, the visual element from a brand guideline perspective, and how to have a crash course on how to build that with the color generator and everything on Canva. Then you've got the person that you're talking with. How can we start researching about them and start talking to them? But next, how do we put all of this stuff together? You've got all of the stuff, right? The ingredients. We're going to bake a cake now. A lot of analogies. But how do we put it all together? So I asked you to start thinking about the different types of questions about your why, your purpose, your impact, what's unique about you. All that matters because when you're focusing on the customer, we can then start thinking about Emily, the customer that we have in mind. Why would Emily care about your story? What does a service product, how does it alleviate their pain point? And what is that next step that they can take? Maybe the first step could be sign up to a newsletter or sign up to social, or maybe does it mean that they're ready to buy right away? So as you're putting your stories together, I love the power of 3s, thinking about it simply. What is the first thing? Why should they care? How do they get, a part of the product? What makes it credible? And then the last piece is being able to go, what's next? So that's one form of storytelling. But there's also more than one path, right? There is a significantly huge amount of ways to get to one destination. Your storytelling can start with empathy, with why you started your business, why it matters to you and how it connects with the person you're talking with. You can then really align with the core values that you have. In Sarah's case, it's the eco-friendliness, the sustainability aspect, really starting with that, or authentic experiences. What really stood out to you? Maybe it's the challenge that she had starting her own business. Maybe it was the obstacles that she faced sourcing her product. What are those authentic experiences that you have to share on your business to the people that you serve? Innovate your story. Doesn't mean that your story stays static. It means that it could evolve. On social, this one's a little bit more applicable there. On digital mediums, websites, social media, you name it, have interactive storytelling. There are stickers and polls for days. There are ways to create reels and ones where you do voiceovers. Think about your stories in dynamic aspects, not just a one platform. Play around with it, have fun. User-generated content is basically asking or taking other people's content, whether it's your customers or some on social media, to repost, being able to have those stories, and then have emotional, data-driven storytelling. Use data as a way to really drive the credibility and drive that story forward. We saw this earlier when I talked about your stories can have multiple categories, whether it's to inspire, to build trust, to encourage, educate, engage, or question. You can have these different stories, and the magical piece of it is I'm going to focus on 2, the inspiring piece and the building trust piece. So, with that said, let's look at how this is going to turn your life upside down, because it's going to make things so much easier. So with Inspire, we started to talk about let's create some social content for Sarah here. So we wrote it up. Green Glow inspires customers to embrace sustainable beauty with eco-friendly skincare solutions that nourish both skin and planet. Discover the power of natural ingredients and join us in making a positive impact. This is also used with the ChatGPT function and the tool. So we've got the inspire, we've got the copy, and we talked about Canva earlier. We created a graphic for it, and boom, you've got a social media post. We'll take number 2, building trust, and being able to go, all right, let's make a caption for building trust. Behind Green Glow's mission for sustainable beauty lies the founder personal journey. This is her story. Sarah's story, a passion for eco-conscious living and a vision for skincare that's gentle on the skin and the environment. So we're talking about this founder story. We took a picture of Sarah, put a little text up there, and you've got your second post. So remember this grid that we showed earlier? The different 6 categories. You could have more categories if you please. But if you put it on a grid, here we go. All those 6 categories is on your left side. Inspire, educate, build trust, question, encourage, invite. Cool. That's your categories. But on the top, you could have different other topics. You got the founder. Let's focus on the owner. You could focus on you about your mission and stuff. You've got the product or service. Maybe you want to add the other ingredients, purpose and impact, and customer testimonial. Then you could start filling things out. And these are components of your content calendar, your marketing content calendar that you could use on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, yearly basis, whatever time frame that you'd like to use. But you could see that it is starting out where you could start developing your story. One post could be our why as a founder to inspire. Another post on Sarah is to educate on her background and her journey. Maybe she's a scientist, who knows? Then she's got maybe some media publications or credible pieces that she can share about why her product is eco-friendly. That's, the founder and how she's building trust. You've got the founder questioning, meaning we could ask and do a post on having Sarah do a question and answer live about her product. And last 2 is to encourage. Maybe it's a quote that she lives by. Maybe it's something that you live by too, sharing some encouragement to her followers. And then obviously an invite to do a panel discussion or a live webinar. So you could start to see how your brand story relate to the different types of stories that you have within your own journey. And then being able to put it into a realistic function or a grid, really, to start planning why would anybody care about this? Why would the people I serve care about this? How does my product or service alleviate their pain points? All this stuff can be covered. So let's recap. We have 15 minutes to dive into some questions and answers and seeing the comments and so forth. I'm looking at those comments. There is a replay, so just so you know, and you could also watch it on YouTube. So this recap, wanted to talk about those key takeaways. First, storytelling. You've got your own unique story that you own. All right, nobody else can take that away from you. And this is the start of crafting your own authentic brand that evolves, that adapts, that encourages, that connects with people. Make it your own. Take that recipe and figure out what your brain dump looks like. Take those questions in the replay and being able to really ask yourself, what's unique about what I do and what I plan to do? Who do I serve? Why did I do this in the first place? Having those sets of questions to just reflect and have the list of ideas, list of components of your stories, number 1. Then number 2 is being able to understand who your audience is, customer journey, those techniques to understand what they care about, What are the pain points that other people are challenged with that you can solve? What does that journey look like from a awareness perspective, a consideration, and the conversion to help them take an action? And then, of course, the design elements. You've got a whole playground to work with. You can choose your colors, you can choose your logos, you could choose the type of fonts, your key messages, what you do on your brand guidelines to create really good set of parameters of what it is that you can do and what it is that you can't. Because your brand is your baby. It's your first impression. You want to make sure that it's consistent. And obviously, being able to take action. You've got your stories, you've got your grid, you've got AI, ChatGPT to help you out to start. Remember to verify. This is all the start of your wonderful brand story to be able to create something very magical and unique in terms of your particular journey. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to share what I know and pay it forward with you. Please reach out anytime. You have my website and you have my email, and happy to answer any questions that you have. Oh, AG, thank you for watching. Very informative. Thank you. It is so much fun to start developing your brand story for sure. Hey, Danielle.
Hey there. Thank you. That was awesome. Um, I've seen here at the library, we have so many books about storytelling, specifically with regard to your business. And I just really didn't know what it was about. I kind of thought, is that kind of like an elevator pitch or, how to sell yourself, with 30 seconds? But it's so much more than that. And you've just done such a great job of, you know, fitting as much information as you can without it being overwhelming. And I just think you have inspired some people, including myself. So thank you so much for that. I do have some questions, although I will say to viewers out there that's not too late to type in some questions of your own into the chat box. But if you don't mind, I have some questions for you, Mega.
Shoot.
All right, so let's see. Can you share tips for maintaining brand consistency across different marketing channels and touch points?
I have to say, Danielle, when it comes to consistency and maintaining that brand, it's so easy, as you can see from all the different templates, to be able to click and choose different things. And I want this picture and I want that font to be bigger and I want to have a glow effect. There are so many ways to distract yourself. And so having that brand guideline to be able to go, okay, let's focus now and see what did I actually decide that fits for my brand. Follow that. I think essentially these brand guidelines and all the things that we talked about is building muscle and training, because ultimately, as you grow in your business and you have more things and more distractions, the likelihood of you being distracted and managing your brand is less and less. And so being able to have something that we can focus on for now, at least one iteration of brand guidelines, is awesome, because that way you can stick to it, focus on maintaining that, and then as you evolve reiteration phase 2 brand guidelines, you can then change it however you see fit. So,
Okay, that makes
yes.
sense. All right. We're getting comments in the chat box just thanking you for the great presentation. And I don't see any more questions, but I still have more questions for you. So here's another one. What are common pitfalls or mistakes to avoid when crafting brand narratives or designing visual branding elements?
Thank you, Joe. I saw the comment. Appreciate your comment there in terms of the presentation. The common pitfalls or mistakes, I think it depends on every single person. I don't really view mistakes as a negative thing. I think I like seeing failure and mistakes as part of the success journey, because it's not necessarily how bad you did, but how fast you get up from that particular failure, quote unquote. But in terms of mistakes, is not trying to do what you want to do. I think this is a personal thing of mine where I wanted to be bold. I wanted to be more out there, or even like a brand thing that I have is myself, my reputation. I just did this haircut where it's a different length. And it took me like 3 decades to get to this point of going, yes, this is what I want. But I think that was a pitfall of mine to go, this is what I've wanted for such a long time. And I felt like I couldn't do it because of XYZ reason that's totally not related. But being able to say, this is what I'm looking for. I want to give it a try to see how people react. I think that would be a really great place to start because I don't think anybody is there to say you can do this or that. It's your business.
That's great. Thank you so much. All right, another question. How important is audience research and data analysis in shaping brand narratives and optimizing customer journeys?
The audience research, and let me caveat that with research doesn't have to be complicated. It could be Google searches, Yelp reviews, like things that we talked about earlier. It's critical, or even talking with your customers in person on social and whatnot. And it's critical because if the people that you serve aren't understanding how you help them, how you alleviate their challenges or solve their problems, whatever, then how is it that you're going to build those relationships? But also on the flip side is how do we listen to them? How do we create a feedback loop from the business perspective to say, am I serving my customers to the best of our ability? Are we continuing to evolve with their needs and their interests? We're all aging, so we all change throughout the years. How are we evolving to those times? I think this is probably number one in the aspect of storytelling because it's who you serve, but who serves you.
All
We've
right.
got a couple of questions here.
We do, yeah.
So AG here is asking, what web development hosting sites do you prefer? And I know I hate this answer. It's like, it depends. It depends, AG. In terms of the user, meaning who you are and your needs. If you have the funds and the ability and you want something super customized and something that another, agency could develop, go for it. But I have had, smaller businesses that I cater to and also myself. I use platforms like Squarespace, Wix, Weebly. Some people prefer WordPress, though it's not a personal preference of mine. And there are so many software platforms out there that make it super easy. I believe Canva has like a website as well, the function, something definitely to explore. But it is something where what I recommend folks do is all right, let's take a step back and think about what type of website do I need? If it's something super simple, what is the easiest thing that I can click, drag, and drop? Or if I have a team member, what is something that has an easy training function for it? So think about your needs and look at the options out there because there's so many. And all you have to do is do a little bit of digging, pick it, and try it out. Joe is asking, what is the average amount of time it should take to build a brand using your guidelines? Depends. Depends. It depends on the person. I mean, if you can make decisions right away and go, yes, that's what it is. But if you're indecisive, and I have moments where I'm like, dress shopping or something, you just can't pick out what it is, and you take like an hour to decide on a color, if that's who you are, then it takes a longer time to build a brand guideline. But if you're very decisive, this is what I'm envisioning. I see the color. This is the picture I want the colors based of. You could have a brand guideline in in like an hour or two. I created mine in a few hours because I was a little indecisive on should it be this green or should it be this other hue green. So it was definitely a variable response on how much you already know and how decisive you are in that decision.
Okay. Great. Well, Mega, don't see any more questions coming in. We've had some great comments again. So this is actually a great point to end because we're just about at time. So
Fabulous.
again, it was great. Always a pleasure having you. As a reminder to our viewers, we have linked in the description below Mega's previous presentation that she provided for us, which had to do with AI ChatGPT and how to use that for your marketing. So I know she touched on that in this presentation. So if you want to see more, please check that out. Again, this presentation will be available here on the library's YouTube channel. So please share with friends, colleagues, business partners. And this was really fun. So thank you so much, Mega, for being here. Thank you to our viewers, and I hope everybody has a wonderful afternoon. All right, bye.
Bye. Thank you.